I will never get tired of hearing your story because I love the messages behind it, the passion that you
Yeah.
have. And
Yes.
can you just share a little bit about how you got started in this world, where it all began?
I always feel like my story is, well, for most of it, it's like our life sometimes feels like bookends. Like we have the event, the trauma, the situation, whatever it might be, and then we have where we are now, right? And so, I always like to start with that bookend in the beginning. It is,
Yeah.
and I just my heart is to just let women know where I came from, because I think that's so powerful. Because sometimes people see us on the other end of the bookends, right? And think, oh, well, yeah, for her, it's XYZ, or she has all this XYZ, but it's the journey. And it's like, I did not start that way. And so that's why it's so
Mhm.
impactful for me to be very honest and transparent with my audience, because I want them to know um, where I've come from and how I was able to rebuild, overcome, heal, and grow into the space that I am in now. So I always go back to family of origin. I go back to many, many, many years ago. And I was sexually abused by my father. And it was a truth that my mother hid.
Hello and welcome back to the Living Aligned, Styled with Purpose podcast, the Jessica Papineau Show. And today you're in for a treat. We have Dana Hildebrand here, and I cannot wait to dive in and get into this because we are going to have a ball today. We're going to have fun. You might be laughing, you might be crying, but you're going to have all the feels. I'm just so excited. And so, Dana, welcome, 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 welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I cannot wait to do this
Me
next hour
too.
or so with you.
Me too. And Dana and I, gosh, we haven't even known each other a year. I feel like I've known you forever. I love bringing on women like Dana that just have so much passion for what they do and that are just creating such deep impact. Dana is not only is she a counselor, she's a licensed professional counselor who is EMDR trained and a transformational faith-based coach as well as a speaker. And Dana has done such an incredible job of integrating how she coaches people and with this faith-based coaching, but also bringing in the counseling and how these two things weave together. And she's created this beautiful methodology that really, really helps women to really go deep with their trauma, but also move through their trauma, come out on the other side, and with faith really step into these action-based steps that she coaches her clients through. She's an
Mhm.
incredible speaker. I love watching Dana speak. I've had the privilege of watching her speak on Amberly Lagos at Amberly Lagos event, the Unstoppable Summit. And I just am so excited to introduce her to all of you. Dana, welcome, welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Jessica. That was such a lovely introduction. I hope I live up to that.
Oh,
I
you
know.
always live up to that.
It was
Before we
amazing.
hopped on here today, Dana and I were talking about
Mhm.
my Align to Rise mastermind, which Dana is a part of. And I was just telling her about the women that are part of the community and all the things I hear from them about how much they adore Dana and love her contribution to the space. And Dana was just telling me, but we've never even had a call. They don't know me. And I'm like, yes, they do, because in that space, you have the ability, we kind of go back and
Mhm.
forth and we
We're
talk and
Yeah.
we, do all kinds of things together in that space on our live webinars. And you have presence, Dana. You're influencing people by not only how you share your story, but just how you frame things up when we're talking about, certain subjects in that space. So I'd love, Dana, if you would share. I want to hear your story. Again, I will never get tired of hearing your story because I love the messages behind it, the passion that you
Yeah.
have. And
Yes.
can you just share a little bit about how you got started in this world, where it all began?
Yes. Well, thank you so much. So I do want I always feel like my story is, well, for most of it, it's like our life sometimes feels like bookends. Like we have the event, the trauma, the situation, whatever it might be, and then we have where we are now, right? And so I always like to start with that bookend in the beginning. And so I am. You have heard my story before. You've heard my testimony. It is, and I just my heart is to just let women know where I came from, because I think that's so powerful, because sometimes people see us on the other end of the bookend, right? And think, oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, for her, it's XYZ, or she has all this XYZ, but it's the journey. And it's like, I did not start that way. And so that's why it's so impactful for me to be very honest and transparent with my audience, because I want them to know where I've come from and how I was able to rebuild, overcome, heal, and grow into the space that I am in now. So I always go back to family of origin. I go back to many, many, many years ago. And I was sexually abused by my father. And it was a truth that my mother hid. And I know this, that when we come out of the womb, we are not carrying trauma, a mask, coping mechanisms, survival strategies. Like, that is not how we arrive here on this earth, right? But we either are part of a family system where we experience
Mhm.
trauma, or maybe you're not, but guess what? Life happens to you some other way, and trauma happens. I mean, we're in this fallen world, and things are going to happen. And when those stories happen, those narratives happen, a lot of times we learn really quick. We're very adaptable. We learn really quick, who do I need to be? How do I need to show up in order to keep myself safe? In order to, like, how do I need to change myself to keep everything stable in the system? And so then we buy into that, and we start to absorb and believe, oh, that's who we are. And then we live from that place, and we're not living
Mhm.
authentically who we were truly called to be. It's really just a facade.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just it's a safety thing. So many, many years of my life, I just bought into that. Like, I was to be seen, but not really heard. I was always looking at the system to figure out, how do I need to fit into this where nothing feels uncomfortable, or I'm not being isolated in an unhealthy way for various reasons. Anyway, that was my beginning. That was my beginning. And then when I was 26, I found myself in a very, very unhealthy marriage. And that marriage was actually the catalyst for what I call my nervous breakdown. So that marriage ended in divorce with my brand new baby. She was like 12 weeks old. And what happened? And I think, Jessica, I've told you or mentioned this book to you, The Body Keeps Score. Have we talked about that before? That book?
We've talked about it. We haven't
Okay.
dove deep into
Yeah.
it, but we've definitely talked about it. And you've
Yes.
shared
Yes.
with me some things about it that are really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So essentially what it says is, like, if we are not processing unhealed trauma and events, our body holds on to it. And
Mhm.
our bodies are amazing in the way that it actually does that, but it's not healthy for us, certainly not for long periods of times, decades. So when I went through this abusive, unhealthy divorce, that was really the linchpin that just broke loose all the other things I had been suppressing, and all the fear and the shame and all the things that were coming up, that, being silenced. And
Yeah.
so when that broke, my whole body just cratered. My mind, I always say, like, I was never more actually cognitively aware, because I knew what was going on, but my body was responding completely different. I couldn't eat, drink, sleep. By the time I got out of the hospital, I was walking with a cane. I couldn't take care of my baby. I mean, it was utter, total shutdown, body shutdown.
Yeah.
However, in the midst of having that happen, when I was in the hospital, right before that, I knew that I needed to get back into a healthy environment. And for me, that meant going back to church. So I started back to church. And not long after that, I had a breakdown. And then when I had the breakdown, I had a friend that came to see me in the hospital, and this friend would always be would pray over me and read scripture to me night after night. And then there was one particular night where I felt like I'm not going to make it through till morning. I was just withering away. Literally, in my spirit, felt like I'm not making it till morning. And my friend was there again and said, "You have to get well because God has a plan and a purpose for you." And in that moment, something shifted for me. And it was just like, you mean God sees me right now? Like, you sees me in all this brokenness, and that he still thinks that I have something to offer and that I have purpose out of all this mess. And that was like being thrown a life preserver. So that
Yeah.
life preserver, I just took hold of it. I'm like, okay, then I'm deciding to get well. And I don't know what it looks like tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, but
Mhm.
I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight and do everything I can, and a fight in a good way. And so I did. And then eventually I was able to go home, and there was a lot of rebuilding that happened during that time. And it was a long journey. Just kind of to go toward the end of that piece of it, I did end up marrying my friend, who is now been my husband for 27 years. So God has a sense of humor. I love that. Yeah, that was an amazing part of my story as well. And so anyway, that is my background. So I came from a
Yeah.
place of that, and then spent many years working on myself.
Now, tell me a little bit about, because you mentioned before you had this
Mhm.
breakdown, and this
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm.
it was mental, emotional, like
Physical,
it was
everything.
physical, it was all of it. And this is why you were in the hospital. Like, you were literally, your body and mind were breaking down. Like, you
Yes,
were
yes.
brought to your knees. But before that, you brought up
Mhm.
about the fact that you had gone back to the church.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
knew that was a place where, you could really begin to, like, discover again. But can you share a little bit about what happened and how your time in the church, things kind of deepened for you with that
Mhm.
community once you got out of the hospital? And,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
share. I love how you
Mm.
talk about this.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, so when I started back to church,
Yeah.
I just it was very frightening because I was by myself with my new baby. I didn't know anybody. So that takes a lot of courage. You're already kind of feeling broken, and then you're like, now I'm stepping
Yeah.
into this new space with all these people I don't know. But they were so welcoming, and it was so beautiful. And I was there every time the doors were open. Like, I was just like a sponge. Like, I knew it was a safe place. It was a beautiful community. And so that's how it started. Then I got ill, and then I got out of the hospital, and then I started back. And when I started back with this new hope, this new
Mhm,
purpose,
mhm.
I put myself in every possible community within the church that I could. I was on the greeters team. I was in the drama. I was in a
Mm.
small group. I played softball. In fact, that's where I met my husband. I was playing softball for the church. I was like, anytime the doors were open, I was there. I was in Bible studies, right? So I was doing everything I could because this is what I knew. I knew that healing happens in community. It did not happen in isolation. That I could,
Yeah.
it would be very unhealthy for me to
Mhm.
just simply be on my own and be by myself and try to do all this on my own. So
Yeah,
it was the beauty and the depth of the relationships. They felt healthy, they felt safe, they were inviting. It was
yeah,
literally just community. And community is so, so important. It says in Hebrews 10:25, let us not quit meeting together to encourage one another. So it talks about in scripture that we are to come together as a community. That is
mhm,
healthy and
mhm.
that is healing. We are never meant to bear our burdens alone, ever. So
Yeah.
that's how, yeah. And so and then that just launched me into so many other things. And that's another very long part of the story.
Yes, well, it's a beautiful part of the story, and I love how you talk about community, and I wanna highlight
Mhm.
that a little bit for
Mhm.
those that are, either watching on YouTube or they're listening on, their
Mhm.
podcast platform that they love. But just a little more about community, because, you shared that you were sexually abused, and you were sexually
Mhm.
abused by your dad.
Mhm.
And, you have the courage, you're sharing this from a place of, obviously it's a journey, and we're never like, fully healed, and it's never like, roses and butterflies and all the things, but it is
Mhm.
You have done so much work around this to a point of you're
Yeah.
able to share it from a place of knowing that sharing it will, perhaps inspire someone else to know that it's possible to get on the other side. And when you share about your dad, it's like you're sharing it from a place of, sharing it with a community, right? And what I think is so beautiful about this is that, sometimes when we think about, sharing our, deepest,
Mhm.
darkest, like, traumas, there's this thing that comes up about shame. And I know we've talked about this before. Many
Mhm.
people isolate. You're talking about isolation. Many people
Mhm.
isolate when
Yeah.
these things happen. Many people, isolate themselves from even sharing it, and in not sharing it, the shame breeds. And so
Yes.
you have not that, and I know you went a long time without sharing this,
Oh, yes.
but
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
but you have shared it, and in that allowed community to rally around you, and
Yes.
then also pour back into community.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
do you want to just share a little bit about the lead up to the sharing, and how that happened? Because I know when you shared, I mean, this was not like an easy thing at all.
Oh, right. No, and it's never an easy thing. But I wanna go
Mhm.
back to about in my late 30s. In my late
Yeah.
30s, as I was growing and healing and, and all the things, there came a time when I felt like such a call on my life to help women. I was working
Yeah.
in lay ministry in the church. I was ministry leader. I was creating women's ministries in the church. I was serving. I loved it, and I was just pouring in. About in my late 30s, I just felt like God was saying, "Okay, I want you to help women." Yes. And then at a deeper level, yes, but we need to we need to heal this part, and we need to go to the offender, and we need to give this back to them. And I felt it so strongly because I knew that when I'm helping women, if I am taking them through this journey of speaking their big truth and healing and releasing the shame and the guilt, if I have not walked it myself, how then can I ask them to do something so vulnerable, so at moments not feeling safe, perhaps? I need to do the work too. And because it wasn't like I was some big, strong, like, oh, I'm going to do this. It was like my drive was to help other people. And I know that in order for me to get to that place to help
Mhm.
other women to heal and have impact in their lives, then can change generations in their life, I need I need to address my dad. And so I did. I did. I addressed my dad. I won't get into because it's long and whatnot. But basically the premise of that is that I just said, you know what happened? I'm giving this back to you because it was never mine to carry, and I'm releasing it. I There was nothing I wanted. There was nothing that could have been done because, Jesus, triumphs any trauma for anyone, not just me, but for anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's nothing that you could possibly do for me, but I just need to inform you.
Mhm.
This is yours. It was never mine. I'm giving it back to you. And this is also the reason all these things have happened in the past, not just for me, but family of
Yeah.
origin. And I'm not holding the secret anymore. I'm not holding the secret anymore because that keeps me in bondage. And I can't do that anymore. Released it. Then there was, yeah, obviously there was some family stuff that, didn't have contact for a couple of years. And then just through again the beauty of healing and the beauty of what God can do, restored some of that. And so there was some healing in that after that. But I say all that to say that that is a huge piece of it. Being able to speak your truth
Yeah.
breaks the chains. And it
Yes.
is frightening. And I want to share with women in this space that I completely get and respect that that seems really scary. And because it has a ripple effect, it's like,
Mm.
it's not just that I'm saying this here in this space, but it's going to just change the trajectory of so many things in my life. And it's uncomfortable. And sometimes the uncomfortable of just staying with it
Yes.
because it's familiar seems safer, right?
Mhm.
So I want to say this, that I was able to speak my truth and to say my truth because I was in a safe environment. My husband held space for me and I was able to explore. But maybe you don't have that, but do you have a friend, a current friend, a lifelong childhood friend? Do you have a community, a church? I mean,
Yeah.
somebody at your gym. I mean, is there anybody that you have or because you need to feel safe in order to explore. I think that's so important. I didn't wake up just one of the days, oh, I'm going to do this. I mean, there were things that were in line. I was, spending that time with God, and my husband was holding space for me, and that I had to share with him what had happened because he did not know after being married for like 10, 12 years. So I had
That's right.
that piece to share. And then that
Yeah.
sat for a little bit. And then, so it was like a process, you know?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
those that are listening to this right
Hmm.
now, I'm
Hmm.
sure some of them are thinking, "Oh my gosh, like, look at this woman. She's beautiful. She's, accomplished so many things. She's, like, overcome and she's on the other side." And maybe they're wondering, like, "Oh, well, maybe
Hmm.
that's possible for
Hmm.
me too."
Hmm.
And, getting a glimpse of, like, thinking they're gonna live their whole lives and not share these things that are really holding them back from doing really big things. But I love what you said about having a safe place, having a safe
Yeah.
place where someone can really, hear you, they can hold
Hmm.
you, they can listen to you, and you can feel heard and held. And, what an incredible gift that God gave you this man, right? That could and I just resonate with your story so much because I have that, that man in my life too, and it's like you have the
Yes.
soft place to
Hmm.
land, you have
Hmm. Hmm.
your person, and those that are listening, find your person.
Yes.
You may already have that person in your life and maybe you just
Hmm.
haven't surrendered to the
Yeah.
fact that, that this person has you no matter what. They love you and they will be there for you. And if you don't have that person, you are worthy of investing in
Yes.
yourself. And maybe you
Mhm,
need,
mhm,
like this is what Dana does,
mhm.
she's integrated, these two different things, these, a coach. I believe everyone needs a coach.
Yes.
I did years and years of therapy and, we can really dive in. And I know you did this
Mhm.
for some time, really listened and you had your clients and they were on the couch and you're giving them tools and you're listening to them. But then you went and educated yourself on coaching as well and integrated these things.
Yes, yes,
Can you
yes. Well, because
share?
I know that, and I love therapy. I love being a therapist,
Yeah.
but I love coaching too. But as a therapist, I was a solution-focused therapist. That was my modality. So a
Mhm.
solution-focused therapy is, all right, what are we dealing with? What's going on? And then let us work together to find solutions and to activate and take action outside of the counseling room, do the work and get your healing. And my whole premise of being a counselor is my goal is to work myself out of a job. Because like I know that if you don't need me anymore, you have moved the needle, you have
Yeah.
launched, you are healing, you're on your way. Is that to say that you're not going to come back sometime because life happens? Of course, we all
Yeah.
have seasons. But that is my goal. And so oftentimes, to be very honest here, when I hear people say, well, I've been in therapy 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm like, okay, like that's a really long time. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on or what's not going on? And I also
Yeah.
found the more I sat on the couch with my clinical clients,
Yeah.
the more something was changing in me of being more involved. When you're the
Mm.
counselor and you have a client that comes in, you're more of a facilitator. You're really helping clients find homeostasis, find balance again, finding where they can just take that deep breath and whatever, although I was always trying to usher them into solution and to get better results. But there
Yeah.
came a part for me in my healing and my continued growth that
Mm.
I wanted to do more. Like I wanted to be outside the counseling room, walking with you in
Yeah.
your business, cheering you on, calling you out, holding you accountable. Like we got the, yeah, like I
Yeah.
wanted to play so much more full on than
Yeah.
what I was allowed to in the counseling space. And it got
Yeah.
to be so difficult for me to hold back that I was like, I just told my husband, I need to release this because everything in my body, everything in my mind, and my health, like everything is just saying, this is not it. It's over here because I know that I am an action girl. Like I am all about bringing it, and it's like
I know you. You're like massive action
I know,
girl.
so it's hard for me to sit back, the sit
Yeah.
back stance. It's hard for me. A season, it was where I was, but I grew and I changed, and now God's calling
Yeah.
me to something different. And so that's why I love the coaching space so much. And, the ladies that come to me, oftentimes in our first intention call, the number one thing is I want to work on my faith. I want to build my relationship with God. I'm like, all right, I'm your girl there too. And like, I'm praying with my clients before session, during session, throughout the week, at the end of sessions, like, we're holding that space. So blending still so much of the clinical with the faith-based. And this is what I know in Romans 12:2, God says to renew your mind. Here's the thing. Your brain can heal, rewiring can happen, and God said it would. So it's like, I know he's not a liar. So if he says something can be renewed or it can be rewired, it can happen. But are
Yes.
we going to have the faith to step into that safe space and believe it and do the things, be doers, not
Yeah.
just hearers of the word, be doers of the word. And I've really been stuck on this action piece, even studying scripture. And it was so fun. I was like, okay, I just want to do like a little, biblical study here. And so I was putting in some search words, and I love logos.com and whatnot. And I was like, okay, who were disruptors in the Bible? Because I love to be a disruptor in a beautiful way, but I love to be a disruptor. And the first one popped up was Jesus. I'm like, well, of course. I mean, he came to turn the whole world on its ear, and like, I just love that. And so I love being in that space. I digress a little bit from probably what you asked me, Jessica, but I'm just
Oh
like,
no, I love
I,
everything that you're saying.
I just, we have to take action.
Yes. Does your wardrobe reflect the powerful, influential woman you truly are? If there's even a hint of hesitation, it's time to change that. I've created a free styling call for women just like you, women who are ready to align how they show up with the success they've already built. This isn't about trends, it's about strategy. We'll dive into your goals, your presence, and your style to uncover what's working, what's not, and how to create a look that positions you for your next level life. Book your free styling call today at csjstyling.com. Let's make sure your presence is unforgettable. I want to know about, because we know that you took massive action, and because you did, you
Yeah.
created this roadmap for others that, how to take this massive action and get real results. Can you share? I want to hear more of your story. Well, I know I know your story, but I want those that are listening to hear more of your story, because it really shows that when you know, you take this massive action and you're a student of life, which you are such a student,
Yeah.
that really incredible things can happen. And you've elevated to this point of, being able to serve even deeper because of these actions that you've taken. Can you share how you were in counseling still? You were doing the
Mhm.
counseling, you had your
Mhm.
own
Yeah.
practice doing that. And then you and I met at a
Yeah.
line,
Yes.
Brooke
Yes.
Hemingway's event, her yearly event. And I remember meeting you there, and you were at this kind of pivotal moment. I remember meeting you. We were at the water cooler, and I was getting water, and I
Yes.
knew who you were because you had messaged me
Mhm.
on Instagram,
Yes.
DM'd me the day
I sent
before
you a
because I had
message. Mhm.
spoken on the stage,
Mhm.
and you were going through something. Can you share a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
about that and what
Yes.
that was like during that time? Because
Yes. No,
pivotal
that's
time.
and this is what I love is that, I'm 54 years old. So I mean, like, it's just this path of learning and growing and evolving. And, we can have the best intentions. And then sometimes we find ourselves in a place where like, oh my goodness, who am I? What just happened? And so in January, that was a moment for me. I had been pouring myself solely into, well, no, not solely, but 90% into my counseling practice. And then I was doing coaching on the side, but I have just simply gotten to a place that I was, physically so unhealthy. I was completely burned out. I was completely overwhelmed. I was gaining weight. I was inflamed, like anything that felt off was off. It's like, who am I? Like, what just happened? And I've shared with one of your audiences before, but like I know what my zenith of mental physical health is because at 49, I did a bikini bodybuilding competition. So I know what I'm capable of. And then I'm over here and like, what just happened in like the last 4 years? So when I went to the Align, I was just really hoping and praying for a word, don't we all go to these conferences? I'm just hoping for a word. I got to come away with something. Well, I went and I just remember feeling so uncomfortable in my body. Like I just didn't feel like me. I have the joy, the spark, all the things. And so as days continue to go by in the conference, interestingly enough, I started to feel worse. But that was a good thing,
Yeah.
because there were things that were bubbling up, resonating with me. And so you are right. I did, of course, love Jessica from the moment that I saw her on stage and all the things. And I just sent a little, what do you call it? Flag out, sent her a message. It was like a little hopeful message. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to message this beautiful woman and see what happens. And so we did connect. And then she's so right because she picked up on my energy. I was like in the dark, and then
You
I would come
were.
into the light and then I would sit in the back and then I was just looking around. I was just observing everything. I'm a huge observer. Like what's going on here? Anyway, fast forward to the end of the Align. There was a black tie dinner. And did not want to go. And I love a party. Okay. I love a party, love to dress up. But I didn't want to go. I don't want to go this silly thing. I just, I'm not feeling it. I don't like what I have, what I'm wearing. And I just bought something that would cover everything, one of those kind of deals that women do. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm here. I'm going. You're right. So I get dressed and I go. And then when I get down there, they have this entrance, like a red carpet. Like you walk in and you're going to take your picture with the thing above you. I'm like, for the love of Pete, you've got to be kidding me. Like the last thing I want to do is take my picture. But I go in, I do my little pose, half smile. I'm like, oh, that's over. Hoping and praying that I'm sitting in the back at assigned seating. I was sitting at the back. I go in, sit down. And I just remember sitting there going, I have to get out of here as fast as I can. Like, I just don't want to be here. I got to get out of here. And so I waited for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I did. I ended up just excusing myself, going back to my hotel room. Got there, took off my clothes, threw them across the room, got dressed, go to bed, threw myself on the bed, started to cry, get emotional. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I called my husband and he didn't answer. I'm like, fine. Okay. I'll call my youngest daughter. She always answers. She didn't answer. I'm like, okay, fine, God. I throw my phone across the room. I'm like, what is it? What is it? And in that moment of just feeling so unhappy, tears rolling down my face, I just heard God whisper to me, it's time to surrender. Like, it is just time to surrender all the things you're chasing, all the accolades you're chasing, all the things, and just be still. Just be still and listen to what I have for you. Because sometimes I believe that we are chasing things that God never asked us to chase. And then we end up in the chronic burnout, overwhelm, and feeling stuck, etc. So that was the catalyst moment. I knew there was a reason I was not able to get a hold of anyone that I needed to, so I would have to listen. And so on my way home, I just started calculating decisions that I was going to make. And when I did get back, I did talk with my husband and I said, I have some news to share with you. So I'm going to let go of my personal, my counseling practice. I just can't do it anymore. I've got to, I've got to take care of that and I can't do it. And he said, okay, great. I want you just to be well. I want you to be healthy. So I checked that off my list. And so then I started offboarding clients and going through that process. And then I realized, okay, my health is out of control. Like I need to feel healthy again. And so I ended up hiring a functional nutritionist right away. So I worked with her for 6 months and was phenomenal. And huge things happened in my health. And then it was like, well, okay, so this Jessica, so let me go back to her. So then I don't know, Jessica, was I like, texting you, DMing you? I don't remember, but I started bothering you.
I feel like I had given you my link I did, but Align. I think I had given you my link to book a call with me.
Okay, yeah.
But before we dive into where we're going now, I want to just kind of go back to, I have worked with so many women over the years and heard so many stories that are not unlike, I mean, there's a theme. There's a theme that I
Yeah.
hear.
Hmm.
And, you got to this place of, and how many women, have been in this place, or, all of you that are listening right now, have you ever been in that place of, on the outside, you're like this confident woman and people view you in a certain way, but have you ever found yourself just like, what you're talking about, Dana, like, you're not feeling good in your own skin. You
Yes.
try, you're going to this event and you try on all these outfits and nothing feels right and it's like not in alignment, like something's off. And you've already signed up for this thing. You have to go there and you don't want to be seen and you don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, you're just not comfortable in your body. There's a lack of alignment. How many of you have been in that position, sat in the back of the room, just kind of slithering in your chair, just waiting for it to be over? And then getting to that moment, just like what you were talking about, Dana, where it's like you took the outfit off, you got in your bed, you wanted the feeling to go away.
Yeah.
And so you thought, I'm going to reach out to my husband, doesn't answer. I'm going to reach out to my daughter. I know you had mentioned
Yeah.
your daughter,
Yeah.
she doesn't answer. And then having to sit in that feeling, that horrible feeling. How many of you that are listening have been there, and then not wanted to continue to lean into it? Because
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hearing you say, Dana, is that you paid attention. You didn't
Yeah.
stop the feeling. You leaned into it. You
Yes.
knew that was the sign.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you knew because of your faith,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
knew that the fact that nobody answered for you, that was the sign that like you had to like really lean into it and surrender. And so I wanted to just stop everyone to really have that land with you, that in that moment, Dana had a choice, right? Dana had a
Absolutely.
choice of, is she going to push those feelings away? Are you going to, get on Instagram and start looking at stuff and
Absolutely.
not get in tune with yourself and in tune with your body because you don't want to feel this way? You fully leaned into it and then came back, and let's hear all the massive action, because there wasn't just quitting the job, and you were a part of Amberly Lagos mastermind.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah. Why do I always forget those pieces? Yeah.
Well,
So
because it's
it was
so
so much.
there's so much, and you're such a
Yeah.
student, and
Mhm.
I believe
Mhm.
transformation can happen in moments. You can close the gap between where you are and where you desire to go very
Right.
quickly when
Right.
you surrender and
Mhm.
take
Mhm.
massive action.
Yes.
So you're in
Yes.
Amberly
Mhm.
Lagos
Mhm.
mastermind.
Mhm.
You're taking some steps to really discover, okay, what is this next version of me?
Yeah.
What am I stepping into? What am I really called to do? What does that look like? You're part of Brooke Hemingway's mastermind,
Yeah.
which I am as well.
Yes.
And you're also, doing things in that space to
Mhm.
elevate
Mhm.
yourself, to like
Mhm.
move the needle. And then you contact me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to like pop, and because you skip over these
I
things, but
do. I guess because it just seems so a lot of this seems so natural now. It's just what I do. I
right,
do
but
I
it's
just
not
take
natural for everyone.
right.
And
Well, not
you
well,
the
now it does because 'cause I'm in this new space of
yes.
what I need to be doing, called to be doing, and so it seems natural. Before it didn't seem natural, but there you're right. I'm part of Amberly's community and then Brooke's community, your community, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Yeah, so then, yours was just like the cherry on top, honestly, because it was like so all these things happened, all this growth
Yeah.
is happening, all these changes, and I'm feeling it, and things are moving, and I'm making progress, and then I go in my closet, and I'm like, who is this woman in here? Like, it was just, I hated everything in my closet. I'm like, that doesn't feel like me. I wore that 6 years ago. I did, we hang on to things, or
Yeah.
then we don't feel good about ourselves, or if we go through menopause and now we're
Mhm.
postmenopausal and our bodies change. It's like, well, that doesn't fit me. Or we buy too big because now I don't know, like, it's just what all the things. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so lost right now. Like, I know, like, I'm growing in all these other ways, but when I put these things on, my clothes on, it doesn't feel congruent with me at all. It actually pulls me back. And that's what I was feeling. And I didn't know where to go and I didn't know what to do. So So yeah, Jessica and I got on a call together, and she had many conversations with me actually. And this one, I don't know, maybe I moved a little bit slower at this space. I don't
No,
know. Did I?
no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
what you consider slow, but you were not slow. You were just such a student, and I had the opportunity to watch you, Dana, embody everything, like from the outside in, the inside out.
Yeah.
And I got to see you from, so it was January, and then Amberly's event was in April.
Yes. End of April. Hmm.
So, I'm the outsider. I'm watching you. And so at Align, you're kind of in the background, you're quiet. I'm like, I didn't know who was about to come out. Like, it was about to, like, I saw you at Amberly's event after you're taking all this massive action, you're working on yourself. And you get on stage and your frequency was off the charts. Like the people in the audience I could see them. I could see the looks on their faces. I could see their eyes filled with tears. I could
Mm,
see that you impacted them with your words.
thank
And it
you.
was just so beautiful to watch you do this.
Mm,
And now big things are happening. Like
yeah.
really big things are happening and you're changing people and my community. I watch it just by them watching you. But
Hmm.
then you also have clients. Can you share how you're working with your clients now and some of the things that you're seeing happen for them?
Yes. Yes. No, I love that question. Yeah. So the clients that I've been working with again, so, so many of the women, like they're who I used to be. They're who I used to be. So I love that and have such compassion for them. And so again, just walking, I want to be that placeholder for them of seeing them at a 10. They may see themselves, and I don't mean like physically, like, they're scoring people, but just all the things holistically. And I
Right.
can see for them where they can be and what God is calling them into and how amazing it's going to be, but they're not there yet. They see themselves a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And so my privilege and my job is to hold that space as a 10 until they get there. And so I'm able to help them with that. Again, like you said, it goes back to helping them identifying the gaps and the
Mm,
challenges and what's keeping
mm,
them stuck. And
yeah.
then, implementing the faith piece and
Yeah.
really believing what God's word says and not being casual with it, but
Yeah.
really taking ownership of it. And that is such a beautiful piece of it as well when they can start to see themselves through the lens of God. Like you already have everything as a believer, you have it all. The enemy just has you sidetracked and you're not seeing it and you're being blinded and you're not utilizing it. And
Mm,
so, and all he's just, he's a disruptor, And so getting them back into their faith journey as well is a huge piece. Helping them see the gaps is a huge piece. Holding space for them is a huge piece. And then my husband always says, you're crazy in a good way. He's because the best calls that I have with my clients,
yeah.
and forgive me the way I say it, but it just is the way I say it when I call them out.
I love that.
Like I love it. Like I have a whole new energy level because I know when I do that,
Yeah.
that's pay dirt. And I want to say this, if a tear comes in counseling and in coaching, I call that pay dirt. That's the issue right there because they'll tell me all the topical things, all the things
Yeah.
that are the top of the iceberg. And I literally had a client this last week, and I can't remember the exact circumstance, but it was with a relationship and a breakup. And I said, well, asked her a question about why do you think, this is happening or something. I can't remember actually. And it's the answer she gave me
Mhm.
was so not the answer. And I said, okay, and what else? Because that's not it. And I said it in the
Mhm.
most loving way, but that's not it. And then she took a
Yeah.
deep breath and the tears started falling. And I said, that's it. What is that?
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like for me, I can give no greater gift than to call women out and say, that is not it. And because I'm a therapist, because I'm a coach, I see it. And I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. And I used to literally can just take a deep breath when the tears come from my clients because I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And now let's just sit with it. And it's okay. Let's just sit with it for a minute. You're okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just so beautiful. But that is just the sweetest space to be in. Like one of the clients said to me, like, well, I broke up with this man, but then all these terrible things were happening and all this engagement with this man is still happening. And so I listened to all this and I said, so could you define what breakup means to you? Because I know you did not break up by my definition, but I want to know your definition. So when she got clear, she goes, total no contact, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, so did you break up? Oh no, I didn't break up. Things like that. And so what are you doing?
Yes.
And how are you keeping and perpetuating the cycle? And, love that stuff. I love doing that with clients.
Well, what I love, so tell me or talk a little bit more about who you serve, because you really serve the woman you once were, and you've really taken
Mm-hmm.
steps
Mm-hmm.
to like move the needle, and now you're teaching other women how to do this. She is a high performing woman that you're serving,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. And I
Yeah.
find that just so fun because the person I was, oh gosh, 27 years ago, I was not high performing at all. But I still can help that woman. But currently, based on my experience in January and being the high performing, high achieving woman that drives herself to burnout and still, it's so subtle. Like, I don't need the degree to validate me. I don't need the accolade or whatever, or the promotion to like prove my worth. I know that so much intellectually, but it's a slippery slope. It
Yes.
is. And the
Yeah.
enemy uses that, right? So I think like, I want to get my undergrad and I'm going to get my teaching credentials and I'll teach school for a while. Oh no, I want to go back and get I went to a bodybuilding competition. Oh my gosh, now I want to go over here and get my master's. And I think I'm that person. But now, because I had that opportunity to be still in the presence of God and ask him, what is it you have for me? I mean, I still believe all those things were worthy. All those things were good. And they're helping me and substantiate what I do in coaching now. But I know what it took to get me there. And I know there were moments that I was operating in a space of achieving
Yeah.
and in the human,
Yes.
not in the being, which is spiritual.
Yes.
Do you know
And
what I mean? And
I
so, yeah.
do. I know
So,
exactly.
so now I'm helping women that are
Yes.
high achieving, in burnout, overwhelmed, and they're chasing these things to cover the things like shame and doubt and unworthiness,
Yeah.
and holding it all together and putting the mask on and being the people pleaser and being all. And so that's the woman now that I'm like, we need to break up with her. And we need to speak truth, and we need to get still, and we need to surrender, and we need to clean out, and we need to declutter
Yeah.
and figure out what we're really called to
Yeah.
and heal. There's still healing that needs to happen.
Yeah. I just love this because, I think many women and many women that I talk
Mhm.
to that are high achieving
Mhm.
women,
Mhm.
because the woman that I work with is similar,
Sure.
to the woman you
Mhm.
work with,
Mhm.
and she's doing really big things. One
Mhm.
of the things that I find though, there is a lack of alignment because
Mhm.
she has this idea in her mind that, at home or in her personal life, she's this, and then she sees herself as needing to be something different over here in business, and how and almost like you said, like putting on the facade, putting on the hat of like, I am this female entrepreneur, I am high achieving, I'm overachieving. But then there's the shame of like the over here personal life and things that are, not working over here. And I love that because there's so many therapists, there's so many therapists, they can help you, kind of really
Mhm.
dive in and experience the trauma and the pain and try to work through that. But then integrating it over here to business, because as you know, from your experience, I mean, your whole body shut down
Yes. Yes.
when you went through this. And then the understanding of, healing that
Mhm.
in order to, really be a whole person to achieve from a place of, from a healed place, and not a like pushing to achieve something for what, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then being in full alignment with, what you're called to do, and it's a place of ease and joy and fun. That's what I love about you, Dana. You have fun.
Oh, I love to have fun. I really do. And that's something that I had to really embrace too, because and I feel like Amberly mentioned this, like when I was speaking at Unstoppable. She's like,
Yeah.
you have the ability, and it's such a God thing, because I don't even think about this happening. It just happens, but it was like to drop hard truth on people, but then follow it up with wit or with humor. And I'm like, I didn't even know I did that. Like it just, but embracing that, because that was a piece
Yeah.
of like I didn't always bring into my work. And I'm like, God just made me that way. I love to have fun. You can do it all. And healing doesn't always have to be heavy. You can still there can be moments of fun and lightheartedness. And I think sometimes
Yeah.
we forget that. Like we're so serious and we're so intense. But
Mhm.
humor is healing. And gosh, and of course there's scriptures on that too. A joyful heart is medicine, right? And so I love that piece too. There was something I wanted to say back to healing, and goodness, Jessica, it just flew out of my head, and that happens too.
Yeah.
Things that
Oh,
fly
it
over
happens
my
to
head,
me too.
but it was something really. Oh, I wish I could remember. Well, maybe it'll pop back into
Yeah,
my head
it'll
about the
it'll come
healing piece.
back.
Yeah,
It'll
about the
come
healing
back.
piece. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the healing, so you continuously heal,
Well, yeah, I
and
think we
you're
all do. Yeah. Yeah.
continuously a
Hmm.
student, and you're walking the walk, and you're not just talking the talk. So, there's so many, coaches out there. There's so many therapists out there, psychologists, psychiatrists, all these different people, but are they also putting the work in?
That's a
It
loaded
is. I
question.
know it's a loaded question. It's a loaded
That's
question,
a
but
loaded.
I love your vulnerability
Yeah.
around sharing what you've gone through, because I think
Yeah.
sometimes we're the experts. We can't, share our
Right.
vulnerability because we have
All
to be,
polished. We show up polished and all the
yeah,
things. I'm like, girl, I am such a hot
yes,
mess. I mean, only the grace of God, and it's just what, like, I mean, just because you have a healing doesn't mean you're not going to have more healing. And I think that's the grace of God, that he knows what we can handle in this moment. And he may give us 5 more years before he says, okay, next layer.
right.
Okay, another layer? Holy cow, like another layer. But you have to be ready for it. He's gracious like that,
Yeah.
and we go through those things. But yeah, I think I am not a proponent for swimming in the poison
Mhm.
all the time.
Mhm.
And then it's really hard to actually swim in the poison and live in the light. That is something that Brooke and I talked about, when I was
Yeah.
considering and prayerfully considering closing my counseling practice. It's just like
Yeah.
I don't want to ruminate on things that have happened. Let's call those things that, that happened, that they happened. Okay. And then let's move forward. But giving voice to them, just using our voice. And our voice is so, so powerful. And I think I shared with you just the other day that, God created the world using his voice. Let there
Yeah.
be, let there be. And so there is life in our voice, and there's life in our breath. And then and the enemy wants nothing more than to silence that, because he knows that. And so we have to speak up. We have to speak our truth. It's when we hide in the shadows that the healing doesn't come. The breakthroughs do not come. And it can be frightening, but I just want to encourage women to step into that space,
Yeah.
because it won't be frightening forever, and it won't be uncomfortable forever.
Yes. Well, you've moved through it. You
Mhm.
continuously move through it. Now,
Mhm.
can you share? You speak. You're an amazing motivational speaker, and tell it. Can you share how people can work with you? How they can be in your
Yay.
world? You've
Yes.
got a podcast coming up soon. Tell us all the things, because I know
Yes.
everyone's like, how do I find her? And yes,
Thank you, Jessica. Well, first, for your community, I just want to offer a complimentary coaching call. If you would like to connect through Zoom, that would be fantastic. So you can reach me there, danahildebrand.com, and we can set up a complimentary call. And I'd love to hear your story. Love, love, love to hear stories. All these women's beautiful stories. Then Dana D. Hildebrand is my Instagram handle. So you can reach me there and send me a direct message. And then, of course, the podcast is coming out July 30th. And I have to tell you, in all transparency, it was supposed to come out July 9th, but I moved the date, because guess what? I had some things happen. Life didn't go as planned. And I also just felt like in this moment, I needed to sit again in his presence and be still. And I knew he had something for me, but not just for me, but for the women that would listen. And I'm like, I'm not attached to a deadline. And I don't identify as somebody who's waiting and putting things off. I don't identify that way. How I identify is being still and listening to my Lord and being in his presence. And I needed to know not just the one message he put on my heart, but multiple messages in like the last 2 weeks. And so I'm so excited now. July 30th feels beautiful, feels in alignment. I'm just so excited about the podcast coming out. So be looking for that.
I love that. Okay, so even in what you said of pause, I want those that are listening to this, I want you to like really have this land with you. Because sometimes we think, oh, well, pause means we're not taking action. But I just want to acknowledge that you are taking action and being a student and going, because we do have to go within too to stay connected. And I know you and I had a conversation the other day about, okay, as as you're building, something really big and, stepping into new things and serving deeper with a podcast and these sorts of things, that it has to feel right. It has to feel right in your body. And if there is a lack of alignment and you lost your voice, you had laryngitis and a sinus infection and things. So your body told you, wait, just sit with yourself for a little bit. Like,
yes,
there's something more. There's something more.
Yes.
And I love that you pay attention, because when you do, the shift happens quicker. Like, I already see I see your clarity. I see how you continuously are serving better your clients because again, I'll go back to you're walking the walk.
Yes. Well, and I want to be just at the end here, really honest with your audience about this. I'm really glad you're highlighting this.
Yeah.
Because this is so, so important. And as you know, Jessica, not only like a week before I literally got laryngitis, which I've never gotten in my life, my mother passed away. And so my mom passed away. Then the next week, I'm supposed to be doing all these recordings for my podcast. I lose my voice for like 5 days. And then, of course, felt terrible on the end of it as well, where, we were trying to be creative and all that. All of this is happening. And it was just like, oh, I need to sit and be still because there's something here. And in that space, although painful at times and although not feeling well at times, the messages that had been placed on my heart, I know without a doubt that many times people could say, oh, well, that's just the enemy. He doesn't want you to use your voice. And I'm like, but I don't believe that, because I've been in prayer and I'm in God's word. And I think he's trying to get my attention because he has another message for women, and it's coming through grief, and it's coming through illness, and it's coming through this powerful pause. And there's a message here. I don't want to miss the message. And if I'm not still and quiet, and guess what? He had to get me still and quiet. And there's a whole teaching on that with Paul on the road to Damascus. So don't even get me started on that. So it's like, I have a whole teaching on that already mapped out from that moment. Yeah.
Well, Dana, thank you so much for coming in and pouring in to those that are listening today and being here. And I'm so grateful for you. You have allowed me to do my best work. And I'm in awe. I'm in awe of everything that you're doing. I love watching you embody the woman that you really are designed to be. I love watching you claim it and own it and step on the stage and allow people to really receive your gifts through your voice. And I'm so happy that back in January, when you were kind of shrinking in the corner there, that you leaned in, you allowed yourself to feel the pain of that and really step into this version of yourself. And I just love you. And
I love you too.
Thank you for pouring in. And thank you for those that are listening, and have a beautiful day.
Yes, you too, Jessica. Thank you so much for allowing me into your community, my friend.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, bye.